What's going on, y'all? I'm here to do an Elden Ring review. I forgot to do it back in March after I beat the game. I guess I just moved on to something else really quick and I forgot. I was gonna do a Shadow of Erdtree, but before I do that, I need to do this. So let's get into it. So I want to keep this super high level because there's a lot of good things about the game. For example, the storytelling this time around, it felt a bit easier for me to get into. Didn't feel like I needed to rely super heavily on item descriptions. They did help fill in the gaps, but between the cinematics and the NPC conversations, it was pretty easy-ish to follow what was going on, and it feels like that wasn't really a thing in the previous game. So I'm glad that they kind of made it, easier to get into when it comes to the story. Getting into exploration and things like that, it was good. The game was visually appealing everywhere, and it felt really good to go into dungeons and clear them out and get rewarded at the end, or just explore various places and find random things. You were really rewarded for your curiosity, and I like that. I was worried I was going to be bored, but no, the world was full of stuff to do, and I had a good time with the open world. Hopefully they keep doing this. Getting into the weapons, there was a ton of weapons, which is nothing new, but I really like that with your Ashes of War, you could swap them between other weapons. That's really exciting. It was fun to be able to just keep using something I liked and then mix and match them and try different stuff out. My hope is that in the future, they let you put like 2 to 3 on a weapon and you can rotate between them mid-fight and use different Ashes of War to kind of spice up the fight. So you can have multiple special moves, offensive or defensive, and hopefully they introduce more utility, but I got to play around with them more to see what's available. But I really like that they gave you the option to swap the Ashes of War. So even though my first playthrough was back in March of this year, I'll say that I'm doing an intelligence-based one now, and magic's a little clunky. You have to hit like up on the D-pad to rotate through your magic or whatever. I really hope they give you the option to assign magic to pouches and maybe hotkey it. Just give us the ability to hotkey, period. And I think that would be really exciting. It would make it a little more fluid when I use magic versus me just spamming, tapping up, and then I go past it, then I gotta hold it and try to get back to it, all while I can't move because I have to use my left analog stick. So it's kind of awkward, but hopefully they fine tune that. I still think Magic was fun. All the different spells were pretty good. All the faith stuff, which I still have to get into. There's a lot of options out there, so I'm looking forward to going through it, but hopefully they make it easier to use that stuff in the future. Going back towards Ashes Wars, not so much Ashes War, but combat, I like the guard counter thing. I feel like it's a little more geared towards players who are running like the big reduction shields and like the big colossal swords. You can't really do that with like a katana because the damage reduction is like 54%, which is really low compared to the 80 and 100 of the heavier players. So hopefully they add some kind of Sekiro deflection style system where maybe you lose stamina per deflection or something like that, so you can't just rely on it solely through a fight. But it would be cool if there was something like that, because if you're a heavy player or if you're running like the shields and the colossal weapons, you can still have the luxury of mid dodge rolls, whereas if you're mid dodge rolling with katanas, then you can't eat a hit the way you can with guard counter and then use it. So it's kind of like that's kind of more geared to those players. It'd be cool if there was something for like the dual wielding players as well. And I think deflection would be really cool. Item crafting was interesting. I didn't really dabble in it too much because I couldn't find cookbooks, at least the ones I needed when I needed them. And when I did find them, I could only make like 1 to 2 things. It would be cool if you could just find a cookbook, give it to the NPC, and then from that point forward, just like how you do the bell bearings, you just give them to the NPCs, you just buy whatever you want from them. I think that would be a good upgrade to the system. I do explore, but I guess I don't explore enough. And if I want to make the poison build up boluses or whatever those things are called to relieve poison, I'd have to go farm for stuff instead of just buying what I need. So it's like it's a cool idea. Maybe my recommendation might be a little bit better for the players. That's just my 2 cents. So let's get into the bosses. They're basically the flagship of From Software. These games are known for being punishing, but specifically it's because the bosses are the ones who are doing the punishing. And this game was no exception. Melania became iconic. We're going down in history as one of the toughest bosses ever made. Radon was really cool. You have Godfrey. I like what they did with Riker. His fight was kind of more cinematic with the Serpent Spear, but you also had the smaller bosses like the Bell-Bearing Knights. You had the Crucible Knights, the Begotten Lion, the Tree Sentinel type enemies. Like there was a good assortment of tough bosses, and it felt good to tackle all of them. Very few were annoying, and if they were annoying, it's only momentarily. Magma Worm, I'm talking about you. But overall, I really enjoyed the boss fights, and I think they really nailed it. They were more aggressive this time around, but they were still really cool, and they all kind of felt unique. They didn't really feel like a copy and paste unless you were literally fighting like a dragon. Dragons were copy and paste, and magma worms. But like that was so few compared to how many there were out there. Like the Black Knife Assassin fights were so good. It's just they nailed it. They absolutely nailed it. And I enjoyed fighting the bosses, and I really hope they add an option to let us go back and refight bosses before they move on to their next project. So, yeah. Overall, I think the game was great. I understand why I got Game of the Year. It feels like a masterpiece. There's so little to complain about. There's so much to enjoy. They definitely set an industry standard with this one. So I look forward to seeing what they do next. If you haven't tried it, I strongly recommend you try it. Yeah, the game is tough, but it'll make you a better player. And there are plenty of things you can do to make yourself super powerful, OP cheesy, if you want to go that route, or just summon some help to get through a fight. But yeah, if you enjoyed the video, hit that like button for your boy. Comment what you thought about Elden Ring, and follow if you want more gaming reviews and more gaming news and, gaming related stuff. Y'all stay safe out there, and peace.